thanks so much for having me, and thanks for reporting on this as well. It's really, really great to have as much support as possible and to see all these people talking about it.
Absolutely. Well, I know we haven't had you on the show before. I know back when you were on the working with the Rebel, and I'd seen you in some Tommy videos and some videos with Lauren. So first off, for people who aren't quite clear, what's your relation to Tommy in this?
Well, I met Tommy when I started a right-leaning British newspaper last year, about a year and a half ago. We became really good friends, and I said that I would sort of manage his media. I said that we would get a cameraman, and we would start overhauling everything. So we basically kind of gentrified all his content, make it look really, really good, make it appeal to the middle class, the working class, the regular people in Britain, and just followed him around for the last year. All the viral videos you've seen of him most likely filmed by our camera guy, just basically oversaw sort of the last year. We've been working together almost every day, sort of sometimes from about 5 a.m. until midnight. So very close relationship.
So what you're saying is behind every great man is another great man named Caolan. So you've worked with him quite a bit. Explain for people in the United States, who enjoy actual freedoms, which, sorry to say, you guys don't get their head around this. What was Tommy arrested for? Is he still currently in jail?
He's still currently in jail now.
Okay.
He's there for 13 months. That's absolutely confirmed. Couldn't report it before because of restriction ban. He was arrested for something different than he's in jail for. He was arrested for breach of the peace, which doesn't really mean anything. He was a single man standing outside a court, holding a phone, talking into it, normal, conversation.
This was level. Of the rapist, right? Wasn't this of the rapist guy? Or the
of the 30 rapists. It was a Muslim grooming gang.
Yeah, well, so you say tomato, I say serial rapist, but continue.
Yes. So it was a widely reported case. It had been talked about in the local newspapers and the print media and the respectable media, blah, blah, blah. And they had released the information about these people. They had been reporting on it widely. So we said to Tommy, well, clearly we can report on this. All you have to do is use the word alleged and read out the information that's already in the articles. Everything's done by the books. We're not revealing any information that already isn't in the local credible media.
Right.
And that's what we did. There's also been loads and loads and loads of reports of people doing things very, very similar to Tommy doing live streams outside that particular court case. So it was completely safe. The judge looked out the window, didn't look too happy about what he was doing, obviously knew who Tommy was. 9 police officers pulled up in a police van, arrested him for incitement and breach of the peace. Again, that doesn't mean anything. Took him to a police station, said to us that he'd been released, wouldn't allow him a lawyer, appointed him some sort of state, well, they wouldn't allow him his lawyer, some sort of state, strange kind of lawyer who wasn't really interested, really. Took him to court within an hour. The whole thing was over in minutes. I think the whole thing lasted about 27 minutes.
So what are they holding him for? You said it's different from what they arrested him for. What are they holding for 13 months? What?
They call it contempt of court, which is sort of prejudicing a case and things like that. The argument was he was not actually prejudicing the case because he wasn't revealing any information about it that wasn't already publicly available in the local newspapers. There was nothing, and apparently there was a reporting restriction on the case that we were talking about. There was no evidence of that we could find. So it doesn't really make any sense. It's not really contempt of court. It doesn't really make any sense. Some people will argue that he was on a suspended sentence, which automatically triggered this just by going near a court ground. That's not true. The judge also said, I was in the courtroom, that the suspended sentence had nothing to do with it, and he would have done this regardless. So it's a completely bizarre sort of kangaroo style.
Forgive me because we're not necessarily familiar, a lot of Americans, with the kind of common law you have there. I want to make it really clear for people who are watching because I want them to understand the full context. He is now in prison for 13 months because they are saying that his actions with his phone, his live stream with the serial rapist could have potentially tainted the case, could have potentially influenced a jury. Is that the idea?
Well, yeah, that's what he was saying, but his report had been done by multiple other people, so that's the contradiction, but that's what they said in court.
Ourselves included, by the way. We've talked about that story, by the way. Not only Tom, we've talked about it on our own website. We don't get arrested for 13 months. So wow, that's why he's in jail for 13 months. So what's the appeal process like? Is there any way to get him out?
Well, there's a way to get him out, which is we've had lots of donations through his website, which means we can get a really, really proper legal team together and try to push that. He was arrested last year in Canterbury for something a little bit similar to this. It was actually just filming regularly on outside a court, and we got him out by having the best of the best lawyers. That was Rebel who did that. So we're going to go through the same process now and fight it with everything that we can. I've been getting drips and drabs of information from him directly. He's been saying thank you to everyone who's been supporting him. He's actually safe at the very moment he is in right now. The prison he's in is crazily not actually an Islamic training ground, like most of Britain's prisons. But he could be moved at any moment as well if the prison isn't too happy with with keeping him there. So there's always a really, really big.
And where can people go? Is that TommyRobinson.online to help him and support him?
Yeah, that's TommyRobinson.online. All of those funds will go to fight the legal defense and to get him out of prison.
Well, we highly recommend, and we'll write about it, we highly recommend people please go to TommyRobinson.online. And I've talked about this quite a bit, and you know this, but I would include yourself here because obviously you helped Tommy with a lot of his videos, and I've seen you out there in the crap. I appreciate it. A lot of people just complain. A lot of people just go up and they complain about censorship or they complain about the cultural left. Tommy is out there, and again, yourself included, out there actively fighting it, both metaphorically and physically. He's gotten into physical altercations. Very respectful, very civil, not a racist, not an alt-righter as the media's painted him. Watch his content for yourself. I have a lot of respect for the guy, and we want to support him any way we can. TommyRobinson.online. Final question, Caolan. Let me ask you this. For people who don't know stateside, what are the rules regarding freedom of speech in the UK? Because I get crap all the time where I say the United States is really the only country left with true freedom of speech. It's written in our Constitution. In Canada, where I was raised, it's basically non-existent. Can you put a fine point on it for people stateside who don't understand?
Well, it might be quite difficult for Americans to understand this because they have a constitution. They actually have written law which says that you have the right to speak freely about something. We do not have a constitution. Regardless of what people might think, Britain used to be the country that was the home of freedoms. We were the first country ever to, free slaves and to enforce it on other countries. But we've reversed all of those things. There is no actual written anything that supports freedom of speech in Britain. It doesn't exist. There are 6 people arrested every single day in the United Kingdom for mean tweets and or social media comments. People are charged every single day with hate speech, with homophobic speech, anti-Islam speech. It's basically become a Sharia-compliant country, which is centered around hate speech. The mayor of our capital city, Sadiq Khan, has set it as his fundamental goal to ensure that people do not speak out against the issues that Tommy revolves around. And that's what the sort of situation this country is right now. Even with Tommy, we have to be incredibly careful with how we phrase things and how we talk about things. When people go to pubs and bars and restaurants, or they talk on television or to their friends, they're all very careful. Everyone feels very sort of secretive about talking about this sort of stuff. Right. So to explain it to Americans, there is no free speech at all. It's draconian, it's totalitarian, it's a completely restrictive country that has allowed far left communist ideologies to overrun it.
Well, I know Tommy has his issues, so it'll make it difficult for him, but hopefully we can get as many of you stateside as possible because we need you speaking up. Though I do appreciate you being out there in the trenches. TommyRobinson.online. I'm going to do the radio thing and repeat it 3 times because it's what TommyRobinson.online, TommyRobinson.online, TommyRobinson.online. Please give anything you can. Support it. If you have a blog, you have a show, write about it. And Caolan Robertson, reach out to him to conduct some interviews in the interim. I really appreciate it, man, and I'm so sorry to hear you guys are going through this. It honestly breaks my heart. I hope you stay safe.
Thanks again. Thanks for covering this as well.
Absolutely. We'll be back to wrap this up.
We will make America great again.